A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
How's it going? It's crazy. I just saw you and now you're back.
I know. I miss you. I was thinking on the way home that I really missed you when we left. It was really nice to be home and home in New York, I guess. It's funny. I still call it home.
Aw.
It was really nice, but glad to be back to our own space and our dogs. So we use for the first time a website that matches people up that are looking to travel or stay in a new place. And in exchange for staying in your home, they watch your animals and take care of your house. So we had never used this service before. A little hesitant. We did like a FaceTime interview beforehand. And we chose a pet sitter that we thought was great. She's originally from New York and she does this like professionally with her daughter. So she homeschools her daughter. And yes, and they just travel around and she homeschools her and they stay wherever they want and they watch people's animals.
So they have no like permanent home.
I think their like home base is in New York, but I think it's with family. Like I don't know that they they don't rent like or own a place. I think they have like a home base with their family somewhere. And then they travel around and do this. And it's always a little nerve-wracking, but the most nerve-wracking part. So I'm out to dinner with some friends. This is when we were staying with you. So I'm trying to enjoy the dinner and I get a text during dinner from the house sitter that says, "Are there cameras all over the outside of the house or just in the front?" So
not something you want to hear from someone like you're employing,
right?
Right. About in any place, like
right. Like just checking in.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm trying to enjoy this dinner. We haven't seen these friends in a long time, and I instantly get this pit in my stomach. Like, what is happening? Why is she asking this? We have no cameras inside the house. Like, you can do whatever you want inside the house, but why is she asking? And before we left, she was asking me like, where is there a good happy hour in town? And granted, she has a 10-year-old daughter. So I'm just kind of like, okay, interesting. I don't know. I don't judge whatever you want to do. You want to go to happy hour? I don't know. Maybe you bring your daughter, you get her some French fries. I don't know what she, but then she said, something like, I like to meet new friends. And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, okay, she likes to go to happy hour. She wants to make new friends. Fine. But then I'm kind of like putting two and two together. And I'm like, maybe she like met a new friend and
she's trying to bring them back to your house.
Wants to bring them back to my house and wants to know like how she can sneak them in.
Right.
So
not subtly. Yes.
Yes. So I'm just like getting really paranoid. And the friend that I'm out to dinner with is like, you tell her there's cameras all over the place outside of your house. Like you tell her there's cameras on every single corner. So she's like kind of, I think, judging me for even doing this. She was like, they were like, we would never do that. Like we would never let somebody that we don't know inside our house.
But she got good reviews?
Yeah, she had like over 25 good. There was maybe one that was not amazing, but the rest of them were good. So I was like, maybe she just didn't get along with, there was like, in the reviews, sometimes there's like a back and forth where one person gives their side and the other person gives their side. So it sounded like, okay, I kind of saw her side but she had a lot of reviews. This is like what they do. So I'm kind of freaking out and I didn't like fully answer the question. Because I'm also at dinner and we don't, I'm like not trying to ruin my dinner with this. So I just responded something like, yes, there are cameras on the outside of the house. Just like not getting into the details of where the cameras are. This is the beauty of text too. Sometimes
Yes.
if you want to be like a little vague and just not have to address it.
Right. It's not like a phone call where she could immediately ask like,
Be like, well, where are they?
Yeah. Right.
So I'm going back and forth and I'm trying to stay present and like be, where I'm at, enjoying my time with my friends. But she pushes back a little bit and she's like, well, just, in the interest of privacy, can you please turn off the cameras in the backyard? And so I'm just like getting sketched out and I'm texting our brother, John, who's used this company before. And I'm like, is this normal? Like, what are we supposed to expect? So
What did he say?
He was like, no, that's not normal at all. Like you should text her, like there's no cameras in the bedrooms or the bathrooms. Like I think people even have cameras like in the living room if they want, like in the common area.
Yeah. I can understand that fear of like, a sexual predator. There's a camera in the bathroom or
yes,
like you said, the bedroom or something like that. So I think that would be a fair response. Yeah.
Right. If she wanted to check in on like, where are the cameras in the general house, but she's asking me like, are they in the backyard? So I'm like, what? Why does it matter? So anyway, I'm like thinking, oh, maybe she wants to go back there and like smoke weed. I really don't care. Like if that's what you want to do, just do it. I'm not really watching you anyway.
Right. Or she could just ask like, do you mind if I, smoke weed?
Yeah. And I would have said,
right, yeah.
No, fine. Do it. Right. You're right. You know, you're like in the house. It doesn't bother anybody. But I'm just racking my brain and we're kind of doing this little dance where like I'm giving her these like kind of vague answers and she's like pushing back like.
Right.
So then at the end, like a few hours later, I'm like trying to figure out, I'm just like anxious now about the whole entire situation. And then she says, well, I would like to we have a hot tub in the backyard. That of course, like I want her to enjoy and use. And she writes back, I would like to use the hot tub in my natural state.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. I felt a little bit of relief that like I got the answer? Of like, what, that she wasn't sneaking back some sketchy dude from a happy hour.
Would you have preferred if she like led with that?
Yeah, I would have preferred if she led with that. I would have preferred if she would have said, I enjoy going naked in the hot tub. Would you mind turning off the cameras in the backyard?
Right. Yeah. And I think context and communication is like key. Like if she was like, do you have any guns in the house? Like, it would be like,
right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I do think like you should add some color to why you're asking a question. Yeah.
Yes. My first question back to her when she said, are there cameras all over the house was, are you okay? Like, I didn't know if she was worried about someone coming in or what. So it ended up being like a pretty innocent thing, but I'm also like, sometimes the answer, like you just can't do that. Or if you're going to do it, you got to take the risk.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know. I feel like that's something where you might want to like say that to the person when I assume you've had a phone call with her or something.
Yeah,
before.
We had a phone call. And we also, the weird part about this whole thing was we ended up like overlapping a night. So we all stayed in the house together
And she seemed normal?
And she seemed normal. And we were chatting and
her daughter's
we were all
there?
playing with the dogs and her daughter was there and her daughter's playing with my kids. And it seemed like really nice and lovely. And she was nice and we got to chat.
Right. And when you got home, everything was fine?
Perfectly fine and spick and span. And they did a good job and they did all the things that we asked. I guess she just wanted to go naked in the hot tub. But like you said, I would have preferred if she just asked that.
Right. Like before you left or like on the call or like in the introductory, like here's some things that I like to do.
We probably might not have totally, if we had other options, been like, okay, let's take the
nudist. Yeah.
The nudist.
Yeah. And this is your first experience using this?
Yes. Very first time.
Would you use it again?
I don't know. I mean, the beauty is last time we went away, we paid our dog sitter like $1,400 and this was completely free.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I do think, that's probably someone who like wants to get paid for it maybe is like a little more professional-ish.
Yes, exactly.
No, but that's it's tough. I'm trying to think like ethically, I guess she hasn't done anything wrong. It's almost like, I guess, I mean, I would have phrased it differently if I were her. And
There's a little self-awareness.
Yeah,
I know it
right.
might be a little weird, but I
Yes.
really enjoy this. I was looking forward to.
Yeah. And I think the right thing to do, if that's like something you really want to do, enough to text the owner to ask about the security cameras, is if that's like truly how you choose to enjoy your natural state, which I don't think most people love the idea of a stranger like naked prancing around their house.
Yeah, the kids are like, we need to bleach the whole hot tub. We need to sterilize the couch. Like they're all like freaked out.
Yeah, in and out. I could see like feeling like a little weird about that. But again, I think like that request, it's not like insane. If she had requested it before, so you would have gotten the full picture of like what you were getting into here.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. That would have been good. And even just that moment while I'm at dinner and I'm trying to enjoy it. And I'm like, I'm just picturing her bringing some like skeevy guy home from the bar in through like the back door of our house. That's what my original like freak out was. Because when I did this, like I know some listeners out there are probably like, that's crazy. I would never let like a random person that I didn't know into my house. But I'm also like, I don't keep valuables around. Like, what are they going to do? Steal my television?
Your
like,
couch. Yeah. No,
right.
yeah. It's funny because that would be like the immediate obvious concern. But I guess you don't think about any other like just weird things that just make you feel a little weird. And home is your sanctuary. So I could see why I can understand why someone's like, I would never do that. And I can understand why other people are like, sure. Like, I think it kind of, it depends how much control you like to have over your personal space. I don't think I would do it, mostly because I have like a, as our mom self-proclaimed most selfish child, I have a thing against like people touching my stuff. I think because, and I mean, you were a little older, so I don't think you got as much of this, but because there were like 4 of us girls like in the house sharing stuff, not sharing stuff, but like kind of like blurred lines of like, that's my sweatshirt. Like that's my like stuff.
Yes,
like I would always be like, I think I have like a complex from childhood about like people like taking my stuff or touching my stuff or like whatever. So I think that I wouldn't do it, but I could see why someone who had their boundaries respected would.
Right.
And you locked your door, you said, to your room, right?
Yeah, we locked our bedroom off. So like that was not an area that they had access to. We did come home to a broken coffee mug, not the biggest deal, but like if you are sensitive about your belongings, I could see that maybe tweaking you. So yeah, not for everyone. Would I do it again? I don't know. I think I'd ask more questions. And be very clear about the expectations.
Yeah, I wouldn't use this particular sitter again, but I think you could probably give it one more chance and give it like, again, I think that's how you learn. Like, okay, next time I'm going to ask like, is there anything you, like, what do you like to do when you're staying at the house? Like what, like, you know what I mean? Like just more questions. Yeah. How do you spend your evenings? How do you, one more thing on your story that just to, relate to your, I guess, I don't know if it's a shed your shame because it doesn't sound like you're like shameful about anything, but maybe like asking more questions. We also, for the bar mitzvah, dropped Ron off at the daycare and he had a great time. He was like sleeping the whole day yesterday, which was great. But I guess I totally forgot to mention that he has an extremely sensitive stomach. So they must have given him something. Because he took a huge dump on the rug last night. So like, but it was like my fault because I like didn't say anything to them about, because they have you bring his food. So I like brought his own food, but I guess they're giving him like treats. Probably giving him treats throughout the day, or maybe he got into some other dog's food or something like that. But that was like on me. I was like, why didn't I like tell them to make sure he doesn't have any food besides his own food? Because it means clearly from that. So I also had now I'm like, okay, next time you just need to like say more, ask more questions, ask about like how the food's divided, whatever. Like it's tough for us type beers. out
Yes,
there.
it's so true. And sometimes I'll be in conversation with someone who is like more of a type A and they're asking like a million questions. And I'm like, all right, can we just get on with it? But they've probably
They
encountered
avoid.
these things and
Yes.
realize what's going on. Although I will say, I think a lot of dogs have that issue. Like I would be surprised. I mean, not surprised. Maybe it was just like a little dry treat bone thing that they gave him. But
Right.
yeah,
Or
a
he
lot of dogs have those sensitive stomach issues and don't want anything given other than their food. But yeah, you live and you learn.
We live and you learn. Next time, we'll both ask more questions and be more precise. Anyway, all right.
So, all right.
All right, let's get into our show. We have a voicemail this episode. If you guys want to leave us a voicemail, you can call 646-363-6294. Love getting those voicemails. Keep it under 3 minutes. Or you can write in oversharing at betches.com, or you can subscribe. You get 2 bonus episodes a month, early access to the episodes a day early, all the episodes ad-free. Or you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups. Do you have any room in there as we near the holidays? A very stressful time of year?
Totally stressful time of year. Yes, we have room. We have rolling admission. So whenever a spot opens up, we can find a spot for somebody new. So naomibernstein.com. Come join us. It's really nice. I think one of the benefits that I probably don't mention enough is it's nice to know like every Monday night or whenever your group is, that you know that you have a place to go where if you're struggling or you just need to be with people or you don't want to be alone, that there are going to be people there that are showing up. I really try my best not to even reschedule or move things around. Every now and then it happens, but I try to keep that time sacred because I know that there are people that, you know, if you feel lonely, whether you're lonely in relationship or you just need, you know, kind of more of a friendship group that's deep and meaningful. And, you know, every Monday or every Tuesday or whatever it is that you show up and there are people that are there to listen. So yeah, naomibernstein.com, naomibernstein.com.
I'll read our first email. Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. Absolutely love the pod and your advice. I'll get right into it. I'm a newlywed to a wonderful man, but he is constantly updating me with the most horrific news stories from around the world. We're in Canada, if that matters. I'm all for staying informed and up to date, but I also suffer from anxiety and ADHD and have spoken to him countless times about my own personal news consumption plan, which is the old school approach. I catch up once a day, usually in the morning, with a news source that covers all topics, from the horrific to the mundane. Then that's it until 24 hours later. I've unsubscribed from all online accounts that spit constant anxiety-inducing news at me at all hours, and I am more focused and better for it. However, when I get home from a long day, and also throughout the day via text, he'll send the most recent crazy thing Trump did or said, or will mention something or share a video of children suffering, and every time it sends me into an anxiety spiral. He also recently asked if I wanted to hear a summary of a documentary. I said no because my family already told me not to watch it. And he proceeded to tell me about a mother being shot in front of her child. I watched that one. That was horrific. He doesn't know this, but I have him muted on my phone during the workday, and it's because of this. How can I politely tell him to fuck off with the constant negative news sharing? How can I get him to take me more seriously when I say it has a large impact on me? Is this more my problem than his? Thank you. A sensitive Sally Betch.
Yeah. What I think is happening, maybe subconsciously on both of their ends or on his end, is like he wants to be sure that they have the same values. He wants to be comforted or supported, or he wants to see if she cares. He wants, like, if she's already kind of said, don't do this, and he's still doing it, I think he might be feeling like, I don't want you to bury your head completely in the sand. And like, for some reason, whether it's a value judgment that I don't want you to do that, or I want to make sure that we care about the same things, or I'm alone in this like sadness or frustration or anger or whatever it is, like he wants her to join him in the intensity of what he's feeling.
Right. To me, it seemed like like it was more obviously the latter thing that you said about almost like needing someone to like experience things the same way as him. Because she said, I mean, she says like, I dedicate an hour of the day to like doing these things. I think she feels the same way about that he does about like the horrific things go like that they are horrific or that like they're both judging those things in the same way. But I think the fact that he's texting her throughout the day, even though she said, I don't really like that, or like telling her about these things, it's like he's sort of disregarding her feelings because he's assuming that the way that he reacts to these things or the way that he's soothed, but he probably finds that's the same way that she's like, I like to look 1 hour away a day and then I like to not hear anything. She's probably like self-soothes that way. And he probably self-soothes, even though probably less healthy, by like constantly reading more. And I think most people assume that other people cope the same way as them.
Right.
So I think he's like, oh, like, of course, like we'll discuss, like, of course it'll make me feel better. Of course it'll make you feel better. Like we'll both just like talk it through. Like we'll like both say this thing is horrible. And like, I'll have someone to like validate that. And then I can move on with my day.
Right.
But she's like, that's not soothing to me.
Right. It's yes. And I think a lot of people do consume in the way that he does, which is just like opening up a wound and then like slapping a Band-Aid on it and opening up a wound. And then maybe you send it to someone and they say, oh my God, that's horrific. I can't believe that. How awful. And then that's the Band-Aid that gets slapped on it. And then you move on and you just keep doing that all day. And it can be very, very draining. I do also wonder maybe if there's like a testing of like, do you still care about the things that I still care about? Even though she's setting this boundary of like, I don't want to talk about it all day. There might be a checking of like, are we still on the same page that all of this stuff is awful and we both care a lot about all this stuff? Because her boundary, which is why a lot of people have a hard time setting that boundary, because then it feels like, am I burying my head in the sand? Am I not being a good person if I'm not exposing myself to all of the atrocities of the world? Like, then I don't feel like a good moral human. So there might be I'm sure a big part of it is just like he needs soothing in that moment, or he wants someone to like be in it with him. But he might be reacting to her setting that boundary. Right. By kind of being like, the whole you burying your head in the sand thing to him, what feels like.
Right. Not cutting it.
Right.
An hour a day isn't cutting it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like you care enough about this. So, and it's really challenging. This, I think a lot of one suggestion that I have for them, which would take like a big shift in their relationship, but I think it is really helpful for him alone, for her alone, after that 1 hour of reading news or whatever, whenever you see activating stuff, to like actually attend to the emotions that come up instead of just like, I think what people do is they just have this emotion come up. Maybe they reach out to someone that's going to validate how they feel, and then they move on and repeat all day long, versus like what I would say is almost some kind of more internal experience of like feeling the feelings of sadness and fear and grief and whatever you're feeling. And one way that people do that is whatever you want to call your way of praying or prayer. And it doesn't have to be to God or Jesus or whatever, but just like sending your empathic energy, like opening up a channel for that in some way, versus keeping it very like concrete and intellectualized and like thinking about it and reasoning about why this is so crazy and unfair, and just like allowing the energy of your feeling deep empathic soul to kind of come through. And sometimes that might be sending good energy to somebody, praying for somebody, and just like having a moment with your feelings, whatever you want to call that, versus just kind of spewing it
Right.
all over in this way where it feels like then everyone's just walking around with these big open raw wounds and
Tossing
all of
them
that
back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And and you're not really allowing that energy to kind of flow through and heal, like in a way where if you just have a cry about it, or most people are not really doing that, where they read a news article and they just feel so sad about the state of, affairs, and they just like allow themselves to really sit and connect on a human level with the human beings that are being affected. It's more of like an intellectual exercise in who's right and who's wrong and validate my points. And I don't think that cleanses the soul in the same way.
So you think she should suggest he do that?
Or maybe they could do it together. Like I almost like
during
the idea.
Her morning.
Yeah. Whenever they can do it together to kind of sit like at the end of maybe if he's not there in the morning or whatever, like at the end of the day to be like, hey, at the end, there's a lot of crazy shit going on. Maybe at the end of the day, we can like talk about it together and like just kind of meditate on it or pray for it or whatever feels good in a way of just like, even just crying together. Like, I think there's something more productive than like intellectualizing it almost. Like it feels like you're scratching an itch.
You're saying she's doing that or he's doing that?
I think he's probably doing that because he wants to like talk about it. And I think if they can just like feel it together at some point at the end of the day or whenever they can get together, or they can talk about it. I guess they can talk about it too. That's fine. I'm not saying don't talk about it, but maybe talk about it and then like kind of do more of a meditative experience with your own emotions around it.
Right. Well, I like your, you said this a while ago, worry time.
Yes.
Like an hour of worry time or maybe that's a long time every day. 30 minutes of worry time.
Right. And come together and because here's why I recommend more of like these softer, just like open emotions versus like talking about the intellectualizing of it, because that will be never ending, right? Like 30 minutes, if you're trying to understand like why Trump does some things that he does, or 30 minutes, if you're trying to like understand why there's like these warring parties against each other, you're not going to feel any relief from that. You're just going to probably stir it up a lot more. So I'm not saying, of course, you want to talk about it. I saw this thing. It was so horrific. I don't understand how someone could do it. Fine. But I would end it with like, let's just hug and hold each other, or just like sit here and send loving energy to the people that are involved in this and that need it, I think is more healing and probably productive for the way that you show up in the world than like squeezing it in. But but I agree. Saying maybe we can do this together. Maybe we can do this in person. And I really want to be able to lean in, because what he might be getting is like, he sends her something in the middle of a Wednesday at like,
she's like in a meeting,
11 a.m. And she's kind of like not giving him the response that he needs. So he keeps doing it versus like, if we do this at like 8 o'clock at the end of our day, I will be a lot more present and we can really connect on our deep grief and passion for humanity here, versus like, I'm kind of giving you these lukewarm responses all day long because I'm just annoyed. I kind of want this to end because it's too upsetting.
Right. And it also, the annoying thing here is that she's like told him that she doesn't like to receive information this way, and he's doing it anyway. I think your method is a great first step, like less antagonistic, to be like, why don't we try this?
Right.
But if he still is doing that, I would be like, I've told you that this makes me feel really anxious or activated, and I'm trying to like do a little bit of compartmentalization so I can get through my day.
Right.
Like, what is the reason that you keep doing this, even though I told you, like, I don't really enjoy consuming the news this way?
Yep.
And then I think like that would help to flesh out that conversation, I would imagine.
Totally. And I do think you're right. Asking him, like, there must be some, like something, so compelling that you're doing this even though I've asked you not to? Like, what is going on for you that you cannot not do this when I've
Right.
asked you? Like, what
Yes.
is that?
And if you truly can control yourself, maybe we can find someone a little who also prefers to to cope
Right.
that way. I don't think it's the healthiest method, but if you really need to do that, I'm sure like I don't think I'm the right person to be like getting into it with you because I don't have like the energy or the time or the mental space to be able to do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it definitely needs to be addressed, but it leads me to believe that there's something going on for him that he can't even control himself because she's asked him so many times, or he's like trying to communicate something
Right.
by rebelling against what she's asked him.
Therapist.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to discuss that with someone. No,
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it's tough because it's like, oh, like you could seem like you don't care by like putting up a boundary, but also like the best way to contribute to the world is to be like the best version of yourself and to like be able to like get through your day in a positive way and like not make that your entire being, because that does, I think, make you less able to contribute.
Yes. And this happens, I think, with a lot of different couple interactions, like even the parenting thing that we've talked about from like Knocked Up, I think was the movie where she's like, there's 1,746 pedophiles within a 10-mile radius of this house. Like, how are you not like concerned? Like, I need you to care more about all of the things that are, happening in this world. And he's just like, at some point, somebody has to set their own boundaries. Like if he was really if the father's walking around the neighborhood, like looking at every guy that walks by and like wondering if he's a pedophile, he's like, his existence is going to be pretty miserable. So I think sometimes in a partnership, two people have different ways of kind of handling all of the things that we could be scared and sad and fearful about, but we need to respect each other's, internal space and do it in a way that feels good for both. So yeah, this kind of worry time / like, there's a lot of compassionate energy, I think, around these topics that ends up turning into anxiety versus like allowing the compassionate energy to flow.
Agreed. All right, let's do a Betchicist. Do you want to read this one?
Yes, I will read this. Hello, Jordana and Dr. Naomi, subscriber and longtime listener. You actually helped me craft a text and realize where I might be acting on impulse and not thinking through the situation rationally from all perspectives. So thank you for keeping me in check. Now to my question. I have a friend, let's call her Ella, who plans big parties or trips for her birthday every year. I attend if they're local, but so far have not joined for any of the trips. My rationale here is, 1, while I've met Ella's other friends, I don't know them well, and I don't want to prioritize the time away from home and family, money, and time off work to travel with them, as compared to a trip where I'm friends with the group. Ella's travel style and priorities don't really match mine, and since this is her trip, we're beholden to whatever she wants to do. I feel bad always saying no, because I also agree with the sentiment that you shouldn't have to get married in order to be celebrated. Like with a bachelorette party. I'll note that Ella is single and I am married. She did attend my bachelorette trip. In thinking about how a birthday trip differs from a bachelorette trip, however, I realized that the bride gets to call the shots and plan a trip where everyone goes along with what she wants, because presumably she only gets one bachelorette party and not one every year. Am I wrong for not wanting to go? Am I hypocritical for saying we should celebrate life milestones other than marriage and then declining an invitation to do so? Is there a non-asshole-ish way to say, I'll go to one of these, but then that means I've hit my quota for your trips? I know she's trying to be nice and fun, but I feel guilty even receiving the invite, knowing I'm going to keep saying no. And while she has been understanding about me deciding in the past, I find myself trying to come up with an excuse rather than tell her the truth that I'm just not that interested in spending my time and money this way. Do I need to be honest, or is that just hurting her feelings unnecessarily? How can I celebrate my friend in the way she wants to be celebrated without spending upwards of $1,000 taking time away from my family and going on a trip that I'm not that interested in? A party pooper Betch.
To me, this is like as someone who plans a lot of trips, this is a case of like two people who like want to be polite, but who are ultimately on the same page.
Yeah.
Like as you know, like I'm involved in a lot of girls' trips. I plan a lot of girls' trips. I go to a lot of girls' trips. And there's some people who are always invited who never come.
Right.
And they're still invited, even though everyone knows they're not going, because people feel bad being like not inviting them because they don't want them to see the trip and be like, oh, I wasn't invited on this trip. Like that feels shitty. But like you're invited because like the person feels bad not inviting you, but they don't necessarily expect or think you're going to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's often the case.
Yes. I do think this would be different if she was doing this and like nobody was saying yes and she never was able to get the trip together and everyone was just busy with their families and nobody ever wanted to go on her birthday trip. If she has 2 or 3 people there, I don't think you have to worry about saying no. Maybe at some point you're kind of like, you know what, I could use a trip, or I really love this place that they're going to. It's okay to kind of also be, I do think she needs permission to be what she, I think, considers as selfish. Like, I'm only going to go on this trip if it's like a place I really want to go to, a time that really works for me. And I'm going to say no to the things I don't like. I'm going to make this a trip that's my trip also. I do agree with her. The idea of having a trip that's like someone else's trip.
Right. With their other friends too.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And again, I think at this point, she doesn't even like really expect you to go. But I think you do get stuck in this thing where it's like, I personally don't even like texting those people who I know are not going to come to invite them on the trip, because I know it almost feels like
feel a little uncomfortable saying no.
They're going to have to figure out a way to say no. I already know they're going to say no, but I can't be like, I know, like, but I also don't want them to not feel like they're invited. So it's It's a tough. I think it's sort of a tough thing to do. I think she could call her friend and be like, "Hey, I know, like, I want to make sure. I just wanted to like get it out on the same page. I know you have these trips every year. I want to make sure there's no like weird feelings that I don't usually go. You know, they're like kind of expensive, and I love you, and of course I want to celebrate your birthday. And like maybe we could do our own tradition every year of like we go to dinner for your birthday. I take you to dinner, before or after the trip. And then if I were the friend, I would be like, totally get that. I wasn't sure if you wanted to be invited or not. I know you think these aren't necessarily your thing. That's how I would put it. Your thing. I'm happy to just kind of like let you know, knowing we both kind of know that you're probably not going to come. But if there is a year that you feel differently, of course, we'd be happy to have you.
Yes.
Or would you rather me just not even say anything? I just want you to know that if you ever did want to come, of course, you're invited.
Right. Yeah, I do think it would be a great conversation to have. I think they can both, if you don't have it, they can both handle it. She can handle the saying no. The friend can handle her saying, inviting her and her saying no. I think I agree. She's making this into a thing like the friend is finding this so offensive that she's not coming. I'm sure she's probably over it and knows that you're not coming and doesn't expect you to come at this point. A conversation would be great.
Right.
If you'd prefer not to be invited so that you don't have to keep saying no, is how I would bring it up. If that's how you're feeling, like giving her the green light, like it's okay if you don't invite me. I really, for these reasons, I'm probably not going to be able to go. And she might be like, okay, no problem. Just wanted you to feel included.
But also know that if you see that trip on Instagram and you're like, oh, they're planning this whole trip and I guess I wasn't invited. Like you can't have that feeling.
Totally.
If you're going to go that route, which is like, I mean, I do think there's something nice about feel like if you see a trip that you're not on, to know that you were invited, it feels nice. Like I was, included.
They wanted me there. Like I could, I had the option of going. Right.
Yeah. So I think it's a tough thing to have, especially as you get older. I'm sure there's like certain people where like, if your friends who live in New York are all getting together and you're on the group chat, like, do you want to be invited even though you're obviously not going?
Right.
Do you want and then you have to be like, oh, like wish I could make it. I guess you could do that. Like I have my high school group of friends. I have one friend who lives in Austin.
Right.
And the rest of us will do usually like a Friendsgiving, or we'll get together like couples night or something like that. And like, I'm always like, should we like invite her? Cause like she's part of like our friend group, but like she's obviously not coming from Austin to go to this dinner. Yeah, right. But then I'm like, well, maybe if but then I'm like, I don't want her to feel bad if she sees it online and she wasn't invited.
She's got to know that it's like, not that you don't love her, it's because she lives far away.
Right. But that's always just in the back of my head. Like, would she have felt like better or more like connected if she felt like, like I knew that this was happening and I wasn't there, as opposed to like, here's these activities going on without me. So I think it's tough as both people to know what, like what you want to be included in versus like versus that uncomfortable feeling when you have to say no again.
Right. Yes. They're both, it's uncomfortable on both ends. I do think there's a theme that we see here around people like having their vacation time, their vacation budget, and then wanting to spend it in like the way that they want to spend it, which is, this idea of like inviting someone on a trip where there might be some people there that they don't click with. And then it feels kind of like, they've never really done anything to me, but I just don't want to spend my precious vacation time and money like dealing with this girl that you went to camp with,
that I'm not a huge fan of, right?
A huge fan of, and now I have to deal with her on my expensive vacation. So it is a tough spot, and I think collectively, people get like, I don't know, not everybody, but I do think people get it. Like, if I have friends that I've tried to like merge friend groups, like after the first one or two tries, you kind of get an idea of like, this isn't a match, and like they're not interested in doing
separately.
This. Yes, we'll do things separately. So she might not be getting the message that this isn't really a match, and or like you said, just want you to feel included. So I love the idea of you just bringing it up and being like, hey, let's just address this thing.
Right. Because I feel bad always saying no, but obviously, I love you, but like these trips are just like tough for me as I've gotten older and my family, and like they're, the prices, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're fine either way. If you just want to keep saying no and like tolerate saying no, it probably doesn't bother her that much. So just do it and breathe through it. Or address it. I think
she probably also feels like she needs to like lie or come up with an excuse, being like, oh, like I wish I could make it, but I don't want to go. Like it's easy. It's, sometimes you like are thrilled when you get those invitations and you're like, but I have this other thing that I've already committed to. But if you don't have that, it can be tough to say no, where you're like, you don't want to lie, but you're like, you don't want to say, I wish I could make it, because you don't. But you're like, thanks so much for the invitation. Usually what I get is like, thanks so much for the invitation. I'll let you know if I can come. And then I just never get a follow-up
Never
text.
hear back. Right.
Yeah. Which is fine. Because again, like if I really wanted to know, I would text them again to say, hey, are you coming? But I at that point, we both know you're not.
Right. Yeah. That is a really uncomfortable moment when it's like a friend that you love, that you have a good relationship with, and you have to kind of make up an excuse or be kind of sketchy or like flaky. That's, I think, the part that doesn't feel good for anyone in these situations, which is why the conversation is a great thing to be able to have more of a real relationship versus making up an excuse every time that you both know is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like no one's offended. So that's the best part.
I agree.